There are some big changes to filing your tax return this year, especially if you work from home. Hey guys, it's Adrian here, the Canadian in a t-shirt. And today, I'll break down how to claim home office expenses and the important changes that you need to know. We're less than 2 weeks away from the Canadian tax deadline, April 30th. But don't worry, you can easily file your taxes yourself, and I'm here to help. And no, you don't have to spend $150 paying someone else. Use TurboTax or Wealth Simple Tax for a fraction of the cost. I use TurboTax. It cost me $40 and I share it with family and friends, up to 8 people. So it ends up being $5 each, and it's really easy, I promise. In fact, I have a 30-minute TurboTax tutorial showing you step-by-step how to file your taxes in Canada. It's one of my most popular videos, over 260,000 views, and even though I made it 3 years ago, 99% of the information there is still valid and relevant today. There's no reason to remake that video, but there are some important changes for this year, especially if you work from home, and that's what I want to talk about. I'll keep this video short, and after it's done, check out my full walkthrough, link down below, plus a link to get a 15% discount for TurboTax. So, filing your taxes this year will be the same steps, but there will be a new section for the FHSA, the First Home Savings Account. It's very similar to the RRSP section, not a big deal. Watch my FHSA explained videos for the full breakdown. There's also the new multi-generational home renovation tax credit. And if you live in Ontario, the staycation tax credit for staying at Ontario hotels has been removed this year. But the big change that affects a lot of Canadians is the flat rate method for working from home. Unfortunately, they removed it this year. Back in 2020, when COVID hit, a lot of us were forced to work from home. That means more expenses, electricity, gas, water. So to help out, they introduced a very simple flat rate method, and it was great. You received a tax deduction of $2 per day up to $500 a year. No paperwork, no receipts, very simple. Depending on your tax bracket, that means up to $250 in your pocket if you work from home. But now, 3 years later, they scrapped this flat rate. If you work from home or hybrid between home and the office, now you have to use the detailed method. It's still worth it. It can save you hundreds of dollars, but it does take more work. First, let's see if you're eligible for this tax deduction. To claim home office expenses, you must be required to work from home, or you must have a formal agreement with your employer to work from home. And it can't just be once a week. You have to work from home more than 50% of the time for at least 4 weeks in a row. What does that mean? Here's an example. Let's say you go to the office 2 days a week and you work from home 3 days a week. So 3 out of 5 days, 60% of the time, you work from home. So yes, you're eligible to claim home expenses. This is important. This only applies if you're an employee at a job. If you're self-employed, you run a business, don't use this deduction. Instead, you can claim even more powerful business expenses. I'll get to that later. Also important, if your employer reimburses you for home expenses, you can't claim it since you didn't pay for it. You can't double dip. You can only deduct expenses that you paid for out of pocket. So if you meet these eligibility rules, you and your employer will need to fill out and sign Form T-2200, Declaration of Conditions of Employment. Basically, just confirming your arrangement to work from home. There's also a section for your employer to fill out where they specify any reimbursements that they pay to you. Remember, you can't double dip here. This form is important. Hold on to it. The CRA will need this from you if you ever face an audit. So how much money can we claim? Well, it boils down to 2 numbers. What percentage of your home is used for work and your expenses. If you have a designated workspace, you need to calculate the area of your office divided by the square footage of your home. So if your workspace is 10% of your home, you can claim 10% of home expenses. And please be reasonable. Don't try to game the system. If your workspace is 10%, even 20% of your home, that's fine. But don't claim 50% of your home. That's a giant red flag. It's not worth an audit. So what expenses can you claim? Well, some big ones, including your rent, utilities like water, electricity, heating, maintenance, that includes small repairs, light bulbs, and internet. And if you're a commission-based employee, you can claim some extra expenses, including property tax and home insurance. These expenses can really add up, so make sure you keep your receipts and claim these deductions. On rent alone, this can save you hundreds of dollars. If you pay $2,000 a month, that's $24,000 a year. Let's say your office is 10% of your home, that's a $2,400 tax deduction. Depending on your tax bracket, that can save you $700, maybe even $1,000 just on rent. Don't leave this money on the table. I know it takes a bit of work, not as easy as the flat rate method, but it's definitely worth spending 20 minutes. This is important. If you own your home, you cannot claim your mortgage as a home expense. You can't deduct the principal or the mortgage interest. That privilege is only if you run a business, as I cover in this video. So in this case, renters get an extra benefit working from home. Also, you can't claim any furniture or computer equipment. Those are capital expenses. But again, for your rent, utilities, internet, make sure you claim them and keep your receipts. You'll enter all these expenses on Form T777, but don't do it by hand. Use tax software like TurboTax and they'll handle it for you. Again, watch my step-by-step walkthrough and use my link down below for a 15% discount. And check out the rest of my Canadian tax guide, my videos with the silver thumbnails, to learn more tax saving strategies. I know taxes aren't the most exciting thing out there, but it's important to learn the rules so you can make the most of your money. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of The Canadian in a T-shirt. Bye guys.